Hey, this is Rhino, and you're listening to the Timo and Harley Show.
Welcome to the Timo and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Timo and Harley Show. I am Timo. Over there is my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben, follow the House of Harley.
That's right. Yeah.
I just came up with, I hadn't totally, here's the thing. I actually, and I'm going to, the veil is being lifted off of our Cloak and Daggers show here. Yeah. I actually had written down, Ben, happy Thanksgiving, Harley. Because in the space-time continuum, by the time you hear this, you will have Thanksgiving dinner will be far from your memory and your physical being. I can tell you that much. But in the real world, we are recording this the day before Thanksgiving, and
Thanksgiving Eve.
That's right, and I have not said Happy Thanksgiving to Mr. Ben Harley yet, so I was going to do that. And then out of nowhere, I kind of I don't know if I mentally choked or had a stroke of genius. I'm not sure. But that just popped out of my mouth. So there you go.
That was good, Tim. Well, that was good. Tim, I've knocked a few houses over in my life, But, I'm actually looking forward to Thanksgiving. One of my favorite meals of the year. Mm-hmm. I love me some turkey.
And you like meals.
Yeah.
Tim, no secret. Mr. I like movies. Ben Harley likes substance.
Yes. I don't miss too many meals. And when I do, Tim, I get, what do they call that? Hangry? I think it is. Hungry and angry. Yeah.
I call it cranky, but.
Oh, yeah. But that's all the time, right, Tim?
Right. If your bib is clean, you are not happy. Is this right?
Exactly. Right.
Right. Well,
but happy Thanksgiving to you, Tim, and all our deep thinkers.
That's right. It's going to be a deep thinking Thanksgiving.
Yes, it is.
Literally and figuratively for everyone. So,
yes.
Couple things to go through real quick. We just wanted to say, and again, in the space-time continuum, just to let our listeners know, we have spoken to the students at the University of Michigan. I do not believe we've actually reported back since doing that, and had a grand time doing that. A few of the students showed up live. I think what it was is they didn't have to come live. They probably are forced. We're probably forced into being homework yet again. And I think they're being forced to watching the video. So we basically had a conversation with your old pal, Dr. Rate, and a couple of the students, and we'd like to say hi to them. And but we had a good time.
Tim. Yes. Yeah, definitely. And Tim, it was different. It was a little different for us, but I really enjoyed it.
It's a little different for them, I think, too.
Oh, probably a lot different.
Things.
Especially when they saw us on actual video. My voice is bad enough.
Well, I got a face for radio, Mr. Ben Harley. A face for radio, I can promise you that.
Yeah, and I got a voice for print, Tim. So,
What a team. What a team.
Exactly.
Annoying the masses, right?
Right. Yes, sir. But no, that was actually really fun. And I shouldn't be so surprised that the Jack the Ripper is still being talked about and things like that. Because it's Tim? It's a horror movie in reality, and we are so fascinated about those type of things, and I am too. We talk about it all the time. Oh yeah, I like this movie because it was sort of based on true facts, and for me, that's it's kind of the hook for me sometimes. But I shouldn't be surprised that we're still talking about it. So, but yes, that was a lot of fun, and Tim, we could be scholars. I'm breathing on my fingers and doing my thing here, so we could be scholars for a couple days. Right?
Oh yes. So I definitely think that it is accentuating my glasses. That's all I can tell you, because I got smarter when I got glasses, and now I got smarter because we've educated the youth of today. So
the youth.
So thank you, Dr. Rate, for allowing us to poison more young minds. With our nonsense, and I feel sorry for the state of education today. As a matter of fact, I think Dr. Rate's like, you know what? I'm way too good for all you people. I'm throwing Timo and Harley at you. It's like he's like an evil mad genius. You know? He's sitting there with his hairless cat. So, well, thank you very much, University of Michigan. And a couple other things here, Mr. Ben Harley. Your humble co-host here, Timo, myself, is yet again going to be a guest on the Cinema Degeneration podcast, hosted by our pal Cameron Scott.
Cameron Jammer.
That's right. So you can tune in eventually here to Cinema Degeneration. I'm sure we'll be letting people know when my episode is on.
Yeah.
I get to spew forth more nonsense. Like you don't get enough on this show, right?
No. Well, Tim, no, I mean, and I'm glad you're doing that. I'm glad, and with Cam.
Don't get to talk to him as much as we'd like to. So, we'll be doing that. Let's see here. Also, I did mention Jerry Chandler from Synapse Films is going to be on talking about some movies. I got some movies from Synapse I'm going to run through real quick too that I watched. Okay, cool, mention. But anyway, so we're going to have him on as a guest here soon. I got another announcement. We got another guest announcement, Mr. Ben Jamin Harley. Now I got lined up. I'm going to have to start working at this stuff here because I got to actually start making good on these promises here. Then we're going to have another friend of the show back on, Mr. Mark Diamond from the Dwarves himself. The Fresh Prince of Darkness is going to come on because he's been pent up. He's got to do some talking. He's got to let it all out. He wants to talk some sharksploitation movies.
Okay. Yeah. Sharksploitation.
We're going to be talking.
And you know what?
Yeah, some Last Shark.
I think I'm on that. I think I'm on that bandwagon right now. There's a lot of sharksploitation.
Yep.
It really is. And not for the good sometimes. Not for the better of humanity either.
Right? No, not really. But for the good of the court system for Universal suing everyone. Yeah. Because they all cause rip-offs and stuff. So.
Oh, God. I've never been affected more by a film in my life. Still to this day. Good God.
Well,
whether I like it or not.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about this stuff. I got some stuff I watched, and we're already dancing around the territory talking about Synapse Films and Sharksploitation. Okay. Let's talk about a little bit of some stuff I got there from Synapse. Now, I like Synapse Films because they put out some of the classic and cult films and things like that. But they also like to put out independent new features. They'll see something, and it's not necessarily a big budget Hollywood film, but they'll find something foreign or something independent that really is different or really has something to it, and they'll put it out. Yeah. So that is Jerry really wanted me to see some of this stuff and mention it on our show to see what, just because he just wants people to see this. Look, the bread and butter of these companies is putting out these movies we all love. And they take some of that love that we give them and they give a break to young filmmakers. So they don't expect to make a lot of money off these things, but they want to get the word out and they want people to see these movies. So I'm going to help them get the word out and watch some of these movies. So here's some stuff I watched, okay? Okay. Let's see here. Watched from 2013. Watched a movie called Worm. Okay. Now this movie is sort of like The Stuff, except society has kind of lost the ability to dream. So they put earthworms in their ears and they dream at night. Well, now we all know that story. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, so basically the story, like The Stuff, is that after a little while, the people start realizing it's pretty much an addiction, and it ain't good for you to put worms in your brain piece. You can imagine the things that could go wrong, right? So, yes. So there we go. So that was interesting. Another one that they'd sent me was a movie called South of Heaven from 2008.
Okay, and I think you sent me some of these.
I think I did, yes. But I sat down. I mean, we do a lot of classic films and stuff, and some of these newer films we admittedly have just kind of sat on. Yes. Just because they're just not really the format of our, quote, official film every week. So I still want to give these movies a little bit of airtime here and talk about them because,
some love.
Yes, absolutely. So South of Heaven to me is a movie I think a lot of people would like. It's sort of in the vein of a Pulp Fiction-y, a melodrama, like a episodic. You go from one situation to another, and zany, incredible things happen. They could be very gory, very off-putting. You don't know what's coming next. One of those kinds of movies.
Okay.
It's probably out of all the movies he's spent one of the best movies, although I can't say I enjoyed it the most. But remember this, folks. I'm not a big fan of Pulp Fiction either. And a lot of people are.
I'm on the fence on that one. I like a lot of parts of it. I don't like how it bounces around. I don't like that. Where it bounces between what happened first and then what happened. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of like this movie. That's why I'm saying I think a lot of people like those techniques, and if you do, I think you'll really enjoy this movie if you do, because it's really well made and it's good actors and very familiar actors. So I think you would enjoy it. It is different. I mean, it doesn't like it. It just got a little long in the tooth for me. It's almost like one of those movies where, again, if you cut 15 minutes out of it, I might have gravitated a little bit further toward it. But I'm splitting hairs here. If you like that kind of film, I think you would like it. Again, it's called South of Heaven. From 2011. Got him, and I think this is another one I sent you to. I watched Moriturus, okay? Yeah. It's an Italian movie that was banned in Italy. Okay. You don't get much more. Hey, I am banned in my own country.
I'm like, wait a second. It's hard to get banned in Italy, isn't it? Too, okay.
Well, not if you're an American.
Movie. I was gonna say, because there's some freaky movies that come out of Italy.
Yeah, there sure is. I think that sometimes
I'm okay with.
I think sometimes it's a badge of honor, a little bit too. To get so, but this is more of an extreme film. This would basically the way to sum this up is it's gullible girls versus rapists versus zombie Roman gladiators with white powdery big muscles.
Yeah, like yourself.
Myself, that's right. I got the powdery white part down. Working on the muscle part and the gladiator part, but we're getting there, Mr. Ben Harley. Yeah. I'm only 47. I got a little time left.
You're working on it. You got a lot of time left.
Right. So those are some films. That one was okay. It was a strange film, but a short film.
Sounds a little strange.
Yeah. I did say rapist. There is a really. This is just a spoiler warning. There's a pretty rough rape in it. If you can make it through Last House on the Left, you'll be okay. Okay. But if you can't make it through Last House on the Left, enter with caution. I just put it to you that way. It's a little rough. I'm not a big fan of rape.
No. Some of the movies are a little rapey for me. Yes.
Right. So that being said, I'm okay. I know things are just movies. So I'm the kind of person who I can tolerate things that other people can't because I never forget I'm watching a movie. Other people, like yourself, I think, have a suspension of disbelief still.
Yes.
And that's good.
For the most part, yes.
I envy that.
Because sometimes some movies do affect me. I think it's more me than the movie sometimes because I'm like, just certain things in certain contexts. Yeah, it does.
Right. And I'm a little more calloused against that. It doesn't.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, we've talked about. Well, actually, one of the movies I was going to talk about is a movie that was like Serbian film that was sent to me. So this is actually another movie from Serbia. They sent called what year is it? 2010. So from 2010, I guess the copyright's 2009, 2010. So let's just call it 2010. All right, probably filmed in 2009. We have the movie, and Mr. Ben Harley, this is the kind of movie that Ben Harley just picks up and says, I'm taking this home to watch with the family, okay? The movie is The Life and Death of a Porno Gang.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. This is in the Serbian film family. It's Serbian. I don't get the sense that these two movies knew that each other existed.
Sure.
I think they're similar, and it's almost a coincidence. I could be wrong about all of that, by the way. Sure. But it just feels like these movies just... It feels like there was a time in Serbia where the temperature was hot to make a film like this, and two filmmakers made films about the Serbian porn industry, and they both were violent films, but they're very different. Okay. Serbian film is most people haven't seen it, and most people probably wouldn't be able to handle it, and maybe shouldn't watch it. But it's a slick movie. It's very shot really slick. Everything's real slick. Everything is like very artistic and stuff. Life and Death of a Porno Gang is almost like, I don't want to call it Blair Witch or Cannibal Holocaust where it's found footage. It's not really found footage, but it kind of floats in back and forth between like the leader guy of this, quote, porno gang filming himself and making a film about porn. So basically what it is as you can imagine, the Serbian porn industry is a little rough. Okay, to begin with. So
might be, yeah.
These people, they get this idea. They're going to go around in a van and they're going to do live performances of artsy-fartsy porn stuff. And it's shocking, Harley. I mean, it's just shocking stuff. If you want to see a transgender person service a cow, you're in the right movie. I mean, you're in the right movie. Yeah. So, but it's more, I call it cinema verite. Well, I don't call it. Everyone calls it that. So it's more handheld stuff. It's not slick. It looks more gritty and realistic. I personally liked Serbian film more. You don't really like these movies.
Sure.
They kind of draw you in and then they hold you for a while. And so Serbian film to me held me better. This Life and Death of Porno Gang, though, is a companion piece, I think. And I think if you dug one, this is an interesting one to watch, too. So it's definitely worth checking out. And it's got its moments where you're like, oh, you did that, didn't you? You know, but a lot of people watch these movies, Harley, and I'm warning everybody. It's just like Serbian. I'm warning everybody that a lot of people watch these movies and go, oh, my God. I just know I'm watching a setup shot of something, you know, that is clever tricks and things like that. So anyway, again, Life and Death of a Porno Gang. So Harley, this is a good one for the family on Thanksgiving.
If you don't ever want to be invited back to those
right. So if you got people you don't want to bother you anymore, stick this sucker in. Not for mixed company. And Jerry would be the first person to tell you that, right from Synapse. But it's a little fascinating watch, you know. It's a little peek into a part of the world we don't peek into very often. So okay. Last up here real quick. Now, this one's pretty cool. Now, this one's called Asylum. It's also from Synapse. AKA I Want to Be a Gangster. This is an interesting little movie. I bet this movie costs like $9 to make. Okay? It is a French movie. And
France.
It is about this guy. Now, the guy, like, when you start watching him, you're probably thinking, I think the guy might have casted himself because he's kind of playing a guy that wants to be a tough gangster. And the guy kind of looks like a Muppet with oversized ears. It doesn't. Okay, great actor, though. Great. He's a really good actor. So this movie starts out, him and a buddy are scamming people. It's a really great scam that they're scamming people with a version of Russian roulette. And anytime you put Russian roulette into a film, you've got people. I mean, but this is an interesting Russian roulette where there's a guy in between who's passing a gun back and forth, and they're actually pointing the gun to their knees. So it's not like it's a life and death thing. It's just, are you willing to take this money and blow your kneacap off? You know, basically. So that's how the movie starts. So you know when you got a movie that starts like that, you're going to give it another 5 minutes. Well, the guy, with this Russian roulette gag, they steal from the wrong guy.
Oh boy!
And so then he ends up, and he wants to be a gangster. Like the movie starts off that he's trying to find his way into the underworld. So he uses this opportunity where he just got the attention of a gangster, right? So he uses this opportunity to maneuver his way to try to get into good with the gang. Except he makes a couple mistakes and ends up tied to a tree with with a chain around his ankle. Out in the middle of nowhere. They don't like shoot him. They just tie a chain to a big tree, attached to his ankle, and say, "Ciao,
ciao, baby."
So the movie is him trying to survive, tied to a tree, and it's pretty good. I like it because the whole movie isn't him tied up to a tree.
Right.
Sometimes a good idea like that can get overdone, but it's really good. I mean, and I gotta hand to Jerry. He told me that these movies, he explained these movies to me. He explained why Synapse released them, and I totally see what he's saying. In all these movies, there's something in all these movies that's unique. They're frugal movies. Don't get me wrong. They're very frugal movies, but they're unique and they kind of draw you in and they have something special there. I don't like new movies. So I forced myself to sit down and watch these. And I'm glad I did. I am. I am.
It sounds like it, but yeah, seriously. And I'm glad that they're doing this because, there's a broader audience out there, you know, and guys like yourself, me to a certain extent, but you know what I mean, that want to collect these movies and like you said, Tim, you're a curator, so I mean, come on now, right?
Well, and the classic stuff and the cult stuff they put out, I mean, of course I get that stuff, but this newer stuff I admittedly just kind of ignore. Sure. It's not that I automatically know it's bad. It's just I've already karate chopped my way through enough of cinema in my lifetime.
Okay, yeah.
Now I'm curating what I've karate chopped my way through, and every now and then something new filters its way through. And a lot of times I don't like it. And it kind of bums me out in a way to where it's like, maybe I should just let people interested in these newer movies watch them and comment on them, because I might not be doing them a service.
Well, I don't know.
We're not going to do a podcast on Hollywood musicals. I don't like them. No. I'm not the person to comment on them. So therefore, sometimes I feel like I'm better off just not saying anything about them, or even watching them. And I got so much other stuff, Harley. I got so much other older classic stuff I still need to get through. I haven't even watched yet, So anyway, but I'm glad Jerry sent me these. And again, I'm going to name these off again because I think they're worth. Look, they know they're not making any money off these things. They're doing this to try to help artists out, and I mean that. Right. When they put out like they just put out Massacre at Central High, which has never been released. They want to make a few bucks off that, and more power to them. They're a business. But when they do put out these independent, smaller films, they realize that guys like me, their target audience, it's going to be a hard sell. Going to be a hard sell. So I'm telling you that these movies are definitely worth it. Again, Asylum, excellent movie. Probably the best one out of all of them, I think, so far. Life and Death of a Porno Gang. If you want something different and extreme, here it is for you. And speaking of extreme, the Moriturus movie, pretty extreme. A little more like a Tombs and a Blind Dead with muscles instead of skeletons. Like that's Worm, interesting little comment on society, and South of Heaven if you dig the Tarantino type stuff. So there we go. All right, so moving through. Got a couple things I wanted to mention here, Mr. Ben Harley, that I watched before we get to our official film for this week. Our official film is not Fall of the House of Harley. It's The Next Door Neighbor. The Next Door Neighbor. Yes. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. From 1978.
Yes, sir.
You like 78? You a fan of 1978? Like okay.
Yeah, actually I am. I like 79 maybe just a touch better, but I like 70.
You might be a bigger fan of 78 when you find out that we actually kept up on our ugly baby. We revisited the ugly babies, Mr. Ben Harley, and we watched
It's Alive.
We watched It Lives Again. It's Alive too.
Nice, yeah.
From 1978, yes. Starring Frederick Forrest, John P. Ryan makes a reappearance as Mr. Davis, the father from the first film, and Kathleen Lloyd. You know her as the star from The Car.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I like her. She's all right. She's all right.
You like her?
She's okay.
Does she like you?
A little bit.
Okay. All right. Moving on. So we also have John Marley, who I like. John Marley. Let's see. Andrew Dugan, another good actor. I'm watching this movie going, I know who this guy is. Who is this guy? And I'm thinking, is that the guy from that French movie, that Alphaville or whatever I got? And I'll be damned if it isn't Eddie Constantine or Constantine from Alphaville. That's a couple, 3 movie nerds in the world went, oh, wow. And the rest of them had Harley's reaction, like, okay.
Crickets.
Great. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also, this was also directed by Larry Cohen, just like the other two of the It's Live films. I think I might like this one the best. Here's the problem, though. They really are almost obviously trying to hide the ugly babies from the camera. Yeah. It's almost too quick, almost too subtle. They almost show not enough. And the babies look a little hulkish in this one too. A little bit.
They are a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah. So I want a little more baby.
Decent, though. It's not bad.
It's a good movie. I actually think I liked it more than the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, I know we reviewed all 3 of them.
Yes, we did. So we are revisiting these. So.
I definitely need to get back and revisit them myself, because I always enjoyed them.
Yes, and I think I always thought the second one was interesting. I hadn't seen it very many times at all. The first one I'd seen a bunch of times, but the second one I hadn't seen as much, and I surprisingly like a lot. The third one, it's Michael Moriarty and me have an uneasy relationship when I'm smoking my stuff in front of my TV at night. We have a little bit of an uneasy relationship. So, Karen Black is right there next to him, and that's a tough one for me sometimes. Tough sell for me sometimes too in a movie like these movies anyway. So, but anyway, good time watching that. Now here's one that surprised me, Mr. Ben Harley.
Okay.
Surprised me because I never really liked this film a whole lot. I didn't hate it. It just kind of was like, Peh. But oh boy, is it a cult classic from 1967?
Okay.
Watch The Fearless Vampire Killers, or excuse me, but your teeth are in my neck. It's something like that. I don't know. It's a real long title like that, but it's The Fearless Vampire Killers. It's the Roman Polanski movie where him and Jack McGowan, you know him as Burke from The Exorcist, actually.
Oh,
a lot of people don't realize that. He's dressed up like he looks like a Mark Twain type of guy.
Yes, yeah.
And they're going in the European, looks like countryside during the dead of winter with snow everywhere on a sleigh with a horse. And they end up at this castle, a little community with a castle and stuff, and there's a vampire afoot. Okay. And so this is, and so Roman Polanski, before they were together, before they were married and stuff, Roman Polanski is trying to save Sharon Tate. Yes, from the clutches of the vampire. Sharon Tate is a handsome lady. She's a handsome lady.
Yes, she is.
Good movie. Man, I was shocked. Now, here's the thing, Harley. I haven't seen this movie in a long time. All right. I watched it, I think, on Turner Classic Movies maybe last time I saw it. Just never liked it much. Well, I think I found out why. I think I was watching a VHS version or something else that was an American version where there was a lot of dubbing and editing going on.
Yeah.
I suspect I saw some versions with a lot of editing and dubbing going on. Because I watched this going, what did I not like about this? Now, it's a little zany.
Okay. Well, the title sounds like it is.
Sure, but I don't like a lot of zany movies. Like zany sometimes, over the top zany. But this has a nice combination of zany comedy and horror. Let's put it that way. So not too bad. And I'm gonna get a hard time with vampires too. But actually, to be quite frank with you, even in a goofy movie like this, Ferdy Mayne as the Count Van Krolak. He's actually a pretty good vampire, all things considering. So he's not too bad. So anyway, had a good time watching that. Okay, so
well, good. There you go.
Couple things real quick here before we get to our official film again. I'm trying to hack my way through this here. We got Thanksgiving. You've got tryptophan to get into your system here. I know you've been jonesing for it. Yeah. So from 1995, I watched Cruel Jaws, aka Jaws 5.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah. Basically, I'm gonna sum this up for you.
All right.
Just if I was pitching this film to you as is, like if I was going to pitch this film to you and then the film came out exactly how I pitched it, it would be like this. I got a great idea for a movie. Hulk Hogan's stunt double stars in an Italian remake of Jaws 3. Now, that is really funny, and Timo is...
Where do I sign the check?
Timo is Captain Comedy. No, Ben Harley, I couldn't make this stuff up.
Oh, my God.
A Hulk Hogan impersonator is starring in a bad ripoff of all the Jaws movies, mostly Jaws 3.
Oh, my God.
It lifts...
So it takes place in a theme park?
Yes. It actually lifts footage from Jaws. Footage. Like, here is film from Jaws. Let's take that and put it in our shark film. Jaws 2, Joe D'Amato's Deep Blood from 1990, and a lot of footage is taken. And I mean footage and characters. Stolen, taken, ripped from the film reels from Enzo G. Castellari's The Last Shark.
Oh, God. Why would you want to do that?
We have a retooling of all these movies, and I'm telling you right now, yikes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know I've heard of this one, but I don't know. if I've ever taken a look at it.
I can't take my eyes off the Hulk Hogan guy. I mean, it's like, and he's the smallest guy in the movie. You just put your hand, your palm in your face. You're like, oh, yeah, God, these Italians, man, what on earth are they doing? So
what makes them cruel, Tim? Too.
They're being stolen from other movies. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Cruel Jaws. I'm just trying to get okay. Oh my goodness.
Severn put this thing out. I've never seen this version of it. I mean, of course, we've seen The Last Shark. I don't know if I've ever seen Deep Blood. I don't know if the Joe D'Amato movie. I don't know if I've ever seen that. That's another sharksploitation movie.
Yeah.
But so the shark that kind of just pops out of the water like straight up and down a couple times. We have a couple of shots of that. A couple of shots of the toy shark attacking the boat at the end of Last Shark. All in glorious high def. And the thing is, they don't even try to match the films.
Did it roar in this one?
I don't remember. I was too worried about Hulk Hogan.
Don't worry about Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. And really awkward moments too with the girl in a wheelchair where they're trying to be really caring for her, and they're kind of overdoing it, and it's sort of insulting a little bit. Like, they're all happy. Like, this girl's in the water with some dolphins or something, and she's got like a life jacket on, and these characters like, it's great, the girl's so smart, and she's in the water, and then they pull her out of the water and put her in a wheelchair, and like, oh God, oh my God, how horrid. You're just like, oh God.
Okay.
Way to make her feel great. There you go. I don't know. It's just a little over the top. So when you were a movie released in theaters as Jaws 5, because you just had to harness the energy that Jaws Revenge was giving audiences, stick Hulk Hogan impersonator in it. That's all I got to tell you. So.
Oh God. It's making me sick to my stomach.
Last up, I'm going to get away from it. Last up, Mr. Ben Harley.
Yes, sir.
From 1981.
Ooh, okay.
What's 1981?
The best year in cinema, according to
me.
That's right.
Are you sitting down for this one?
Yeah.
From 1981, I watched starring Larry Joshua as Glazer. Watch The Burning.
The Burning. Oh my God.
Old Cropsy. Yep, old Cropsy. Yep. Miramax. Miramax's first film. So
Jason Alexander in this, right?
Absolutely. Fisher Stevens. Holly Hunter is in it. Directed. Now here's something interesting though. This is a little new one on me. It was directed by Tony Maylam. Or Maylam. Now, he directed, and this isn't a great thing. It's just interesting. I didn't realize this. He directed Split Second with Rutger Hauer in it. We did review that. A very odd monster exorcism type movie that we did with Rutger Hauer in it. It's sort of a sci-fi horror weird mashup of things. This is a strange movie. The Burning is, I think. It goes a really long time with really good setup. It just kind of goes a really long time with all these kids, and there's such good actors and everything that it's good. It works, But then when the rails come off, it just comes off. I mean, it's just like, let's kill 9 kids at one time. That's how we're going to do this. Not like a one by. Let's just kill them all, And so it's an interesting film.
Yeah, it's been a little while since I've watched it. I know we reviewed it, but we'll go. He's
just a jerk.
Yeah, he's awful in the whole. And he's like a cheap Vince Neil, rip-off guy, but he is extra jerky.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what. We when Angie and I were watching it, it was interesting because I actually brought up the fact that if you remember when we were reviewing the movie, I brought up the fact that Larry Joshua Glazer was in some of the Spider-Man movies with our pal Danny Hicks. And I could not believe that we had a direct connection with Glazer. So I actually called Danny and asked him if he remembered Larry. He's like, no, I don't remember him, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean we didn't know each other. Even doesn't mean we didn't party all night together sometimes. Doesn't, and stuff. So, but what was interesting about it is I also said, the other thing that it reminds me of is that we all knew Glazers. I mean,
Yes.
did you not have a bunch of glazers
Yes.
pissing you off all the time,
Yes.
like back in the
Yep.
70s and 80s? And here's the thing,
Yeah.
too. We reviewed Matinee with Danny, remember?
Yeah.
With John Goodman in it. And there was some bullies in that movie with black leather jackets and the greaser slicked hair and stuff. And Danny would talk about how those guys existed.
Yes.
He said, well, that was his glazer.
That was his glazer.
Right? Because to me, Glazer was one of those guys.
Yes,
he just was a 1981 version of it. My favorite version, because it's 1981.
But
now they're trolls online.
Yeah.
So.
But what a complete jackass, man. Like, seriously.
Well, and there's the other thing, too, that I told Angela that I kind of always forget about this movie is that there's definitely like a deformed guy in the woods movie. I like that.
Yeah.
I really like that. It's a fun trope for me. It's a Friday the 13th Part 2 trope. Totally. I love it.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
But I forgot about all the giallo in it. And
it is. It's really kind of weird.
Well, it's
right.
When Cropsey gets burned, remember he gets sent to a burn ward.
Yeah.
And when he gets out, I think he escapes in a burn ward or something. He puts on like a long pea coat, a hat, like a fedora hat, and he has black leather gloves and carrying his scissors around. That is totally Italian giallo movies.
Yeah.
101. And he does it through a lot of the movie, and then he's taking shears around. So it's almost a cross between a giallo, an Italian murder mystery, Lord murder mystery giallo movie, and a serial killer in the woods movie. I never realized how much giallo is in it, and it just maybe I always forget because of the setting it's in.
True.
Out in the woods at a summer camp or something. But we did have fun watching it, though. It was fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
Let's get to our official film for this week, Mr. Ben Harley.
Let's do that, my friend.
Let's see here.
Lay it on me.
Yes, from 1960.
Whoa.
Yes, from 1960. We have the Roger Corman produced and directed film, Fall of the House of Usher.
Yes.
AKA House of Usher. Darn it, I think when I was a kid watching this, because it would play in the afternoon. I got out from school sometimes.
Yeah.
A lot of these either Hammer movies or Roger Corman Poe movies would play a lot late afternoon on a mom and pop station when I was a kid. Yeah. So I'd miss the first 15 minutes because, I got to have that bus ride from school to home, which takes 15 minutes. So I'd always miss the very beginning. But anyway, so I'm pretty sure I saw it as House of Usher. I don't really remember Fall of the House of Usher very much.
Right, yeah.
There's things with titles of these films, and there's always an AKA somewhere in these movies. So anyway, we'll just call it House of Usher. We'll do that. Right. But technically it is the Fall of House of Usher. Again, I said produced and directed by Roger Corman. Corman?
Corman?
I like to refer to him as Roger Corman.
Roger.
Yes. So Roger Corman. Screenplay by Richard Matheson. And he wrote everything we've ever watched, basically.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, he did. I mean, if you watch anything, it's like, oh, there he is again, Richard Matheson. Nice. He made John Carradine look lazy. He's so much in the film. Let me get out movie guy here and give you a short storyline synopsis here for House of Usher.
House of Usher.
Here we go. Upon entering his fiancee's family mansion, a man discovers a savage family curse and fears that his future brother-in-law has entombed his bride-to-be prematurely. Okay.
Well, that was pretty easy.
And that's pretty much
a long time to get to that point.
Yeah. It's a 4-person movie.
Yeah.
So we have the actor Mark Damon is playing Philip Winthrop.
Philip?
Yes. And he is going to the House of Usher to collect his fiancée.
Fiancée, yeah.
Yes. Who is Madeline Usher, played by Myrna Fahey. Okay. And so he goes there, and the first person that he encounters is the butler Bristol, played by Harry Ellerby, who Bristol is actually never mentioned. The name Bristol is never mentioned until the final credits of the film. Oh, that was his name. Let's not bother with anything like that. Yes. And so right away when you see Mark Damon coming up to the house, you know that it's just not a happy place.
No, it looks like it's a total Creepsville. It looks like something straight out of Scooby Doo. Like, I mean, seriously, it does. It's total Creepsville. Now, I was saying the same thing when he first pulled up. I'm like, man, that would have been my cue to split, man. I don't know. And I was thinking, I'm like, I got to ask him, did a lot of places look like this back in the day? Because
yes,
I won't know if I ever would have attempted to walk up to this joint. And oh, God. So
this was life before TV.
Oh, man.
There you go. So, okay.
Yeah.
So he wants to collect. She's been gone. Yes. He hasn't come back. So he wants to collect his fiancee, Madeline Usher. So finally, old Bristol introduces Philip Winthrop to Roderick Usher, played by Vincent Price. A bleached hair and shaved mustachioed.
Weird.
Handsome as all get out, Vincent Price.
He looked very weird in this, man. Yep. And I think now, Tim, we've seen a lot of Vincent Price movies, right?
Oh, God,
But this might be my least, not saying like I didn't like it. I'm just saying as far as him, I could not stand him.
He got under your skin, did he?
Oh, yeah, which was good. I'm like, that's good. I mean, because he's so good all the time.
Right.
But I was always more creeped out by him. This was more like, I hate this guy. I want to punch him in the face.
Right.
So let's get that out of the way now, Tim, right now. Tim.
Right. Well, so he shows up, and Vincent Price, Roderick Usher, begins to explain to Winthrop, to Mark Damon, that there's a curse on the house and the family of Usher.
Yes.
And I know this is a very well-known story, but we're just going through it a little bit here. And so that it's not going to end well. And he is actually doing Mark Damon a favor by separating Madeline and him, because it's not going to be good. Now, the thing about this movie is that it's all almost code.
Yeah.
You never really find out exactly like what it is that the Ushers suffer from. Now, he does say that he can't stand to be touched. It hurts. And all his senses are completely bonkers. They're out of whack.
Yes.
His hearing, his vision. He can't stand light. He can't stand sound. He's a real pain in the ass. He's high maintenance.
My God.
He is
so high maintenance.
He is the guy you don't want to be at a horror convention with.
Oh, jeez, no. Oh, God.
He's the guy you just like, get that guy out of here. I don't want to be around him anymore.
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah. So, yes, and then the movie is basically Mark Damon, who finally does come in contact with Madeline.
Yeah.
And she never really helps either one of them. She's kind of is like, she doesn't say, yes, I'm really sick, I need to stay here. I think at the end of the day, and then Mark Damon's like, well, I'm going to take you away from here. And she's kind of like, well, okay, but I don't know.
I'm not sure. And then at one point, she even tells him like that he needs to leave. And I'm like, wait a second, now what's going on here? Like, I'm confused.
Right. Well, then you start, what that is you start thinking that she's being basically brainwashed. By Vincent Price to be convinced that there's some kind of phantom curse on their family and stuff, and that the house, is part of the curse. And actually, they actually do say the house was brought from Europe.
Oh yeah,
brick by brick and rebuilt.
Like, oh boy,
yeah.
That had to be a chore. That's what I thought. Good Lord.
I ain't doing that.
I'm not doing it either. I would not want to be his friend when he has to move that weekend.
No.
Like, oh, thanks.
No. I love me some Angio, but if she looked at me and said, honey, I think the house needs to be about 6 feet closer to the road.
Yeah.
Would you mind taking it brick by brick? And I just look at her and just one eyebrow would raise. That would be it. And I just make her ask me that again sometime. I wouldn't even say anything else.
Yeah, you just clutch your heart at that point.
Right. So what we have here is
a very odd situation.
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
I mean, because I don't know if like, and then I apologize to our deep thinkers, but I'm thinking at this point, is he in love with his sister too, or is there really a curse? I mean, is there really like, or is he? You know what I mean? It's just. I had a real icky feeling there for a minute. You know what I mean? Like Norman Bates from Psycho.
Yeah.
Icky feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we are in 1960, and these things were subtle, which made it a little more skin crawling.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know where they were going out of your view.
Yes.
Like in movies now, they show you everything, and it's like, well, there's nothing. But when you let your own sick ass imagination start running with it, you can't get things creepier and more icky and gross. You know, this is the ultimate, the classic Victorian Gothic melodrama. This one has a little bit of supernatural overtones, which they tend to do. I do know ever since I was a kid, up until now. The struggle I've had with them is how subtle the supernatural part is and how they drag you through the whole story, and you just don't know what that payoff is going to be and if it's going to be one that you're going to accept or not. And that's the danger of all these movies sometimes, I think, too.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah, so in this one, basically, the house itself is a monster because it's crumbling. I think the foundation and everything's like really cracked, and they're discussing how the house is not in good shape. And so the only real horror elements is there's a couple moments in the film where like a chandelier falls off the ceiling and almost hits Mark Damon. Winthrop and Madeline Usher have a kind of a creaky kind of moment where they go down into like the cellar of the house where there's like a tomb of all like the family, which I don't need all my relatives in my basement rotting away. I don't think that would that wouldn't help.
I don't really
curse.
need my casket already sitting there with my name on it, ready to go either.
No, I wouldn't want that.
That was
you're asking for that curse to keep going, right? If you're doing this stuff. Well, there's a moment there too where like one of the caskets falls off on its own. So almost as if there are forces at work trying to scare off Winthrop or trying to hurt him. But they're so subtle because they're just things falling off the walls. And you're being told from the beginning that the house is falling apart.
Yes.
So is it supernatural or is it just the house falling apart? And it just happens
because there's like a mild earthquake or something at one point. You're like, was that the actual house settling or what's going on? You know?
Right. Exactly. So, but there you have it. And that's it. And so it's mostly Mark Damon threatening to take or Philip Winthrop, the character, threatening to take Madeline Usher away from the house. And Vincent Price just keeps saying, that's just a bad idea. You just don't want to do that. And so the whole movie, what do we need to have some closure? What do we need to have some closure in this movie that we don't get? We don't get Mark Damon, Winthrop, actually taking Madeline from the house to see what would happen.
Right.
What would be very cool is if he took her away and he turned around and she was like a skeleton or like a zombie or something.
Oh,
that'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah. So a little spoiler there, but that I just want to throw that in because I was waiting almost a little bit for that, and I was like, oh man. And I know that happens sometimes in these movies, but anyway. So what happens is Vincent Price just can't wait for the curse to get to Madeline. No. So he basically, very odd, nothing is really explained. The motivations here are very subtle and very strange. But Roderick Usher basically poisons Madeline or gives her the knockout juice and puts her in a casket alive.
Yes.
I guess to protect her and Mark Damon from becoming married and leaving the place. But as you brought up, is it that? Or is it Usher being a sicko and he's jealous and he doesn't want to lose the love of his sister?
Yeah, that's what at that point, because he is such a wet blanket throughout the whole thing too. Like,
he's an unhappy fellow.
Oh man, then they're at the wake or the funeral or whatever for her, and he's still like droning on about. And I would say I had about the same reaction as the main character had too. I was like, "Oh my God, shut up!"
Right.
Shut up! But because he is just so over the top. Not even over the top, but just what he's saying the whole time. Right. It's just like, and you really, for me, I didn't think it was anything supernatural at first. I really thought it was him. You know what I mean? I really did. And I know it's been a while since I've seen this movie.
Right.
And the story. And like I said, my mom was big into Edgar Allan Poe and stuff like that.
Yes.
But, it's been a little while since.
As am I too. So, the one thing about the Poe story that Richard Matheson changed, and this was for Hollywood effect and everything, is that if my memory serves, so forgive me if I'm wrong. I don't think I am. But a main difference is that I think that the Philip Winthrop character was just a weary traveler who had lost his way or something and ended up at the house. There was no love interest between the sister and it just so that was, I think, added as a dramatic effect. And
that's what threw me off, because I'm like, if this is she didn't act like this guy is her fiance, and plus, wasn't she supposed to be in college or something with him, or they were in Boston or something somewhere? I'm like, when did she become so melodramatic too? Like, it's like you act like she'd never been out of the house before. Right. So that kind of that threw me a little. I didn't really know what to take of that or think of that, but I just went with it. You know what I mean?
Right. They sort of sidestepped a little bit of that and sort of massaged it to the point where maybe they were hoping you were going to think about it. And it didn't work on Ben Harley. Not that incredible think tank. No, sir, Bob. No. Nope. Yes. So therein lies the rub, the story. So Mark Damon basically just wants to take her away, and before he can take her away, Vincent Price stages her death.
And that part's crazy, because he can hear him arguing, and then he goes in there, and then she's like dead. And he's like, oh, she had a heart attack or something. Her poor heart just couldn't take it. Like, wait, what? So now you're blaming this on me? Oh.
Right. But it's all a setup, and Madeline ain't happy.
No.
She's not happy. As a matter of fact, she gets pissed. She goes all fabulous moolah and beats up the whole house basically and goes insane. And so that's basically the story. I mean, that is it in a nutshell. And then so after old Madeline goes fabulous moolah, we have another House of Wax fire finale.
Oh my gosh!
With the Wilhelm scream of burning stock footage, Roger Corman's burning barn. I want to talk about Roger Corman's burning barn. Okay. So Roger Corman, he had heard about an old barn in Orange County that was set to be demolished. All right.
Okay.
So he asked if he could come and burn it down himself and film it. And I want to tell you something. I want you to remember me. Mark my words. When you watch a Roger Corman movie, even if it's just when he produced or something, it's almost always going to have a fiery ending, and you're always going to see the skeleton of the barn, like you saw there, burning. It's the same footage, and Corman was sure that nobody would notice. He's like, nobody would know. It's fire. It all looks the same. Nobody's gonna. Well, let me tell you something. We noticed, because it's like that was the exact same burning building that I've seen in like 37 other movies. So yes, it is the Wilhelm scream of burning building stock footage. Yes, so which is always fun to see. It's a comfort. It's a comfort food for me to see that stock footage. Whatever. And really, the only true horror I think in this movie, like that isn't the really right in your face, is an albeit a pseudo horror moment, is really the weird dream sequence. It's very short that Mark Damon has as Philip Winthrop, and that's when it's after the funeral, and he's just depressed, and he's sleeping, and he's having this nightmare. This bizarre nightmare. Kind of reminds me of the Silver Bullet nightmare. With the weird colors and smoke and everything. Yeah, there's some sort of ghosties and some
which like. Now, Tim, this is back in the day when a skeleton scared people. So it was, you know what I mean? Like, oh no, there's another skeleton. Like, oh my God.
Right. There was a lot of skeleton moments in the movie. Yes, absolutely. Yes, but that also signals the climax of the film. You're getting to like the end of the film. Once he has that dream, because then he starts getting on Vincent Price, basically suspecting Vincent Price just can't hold it together. He basically confesses with little or no pushing from Winthrop. He starts blabbling and confessing what he's done, basically. But he's convinced he's done it for the right reasons. He's absolutely convinced he's done it for the right reasons. And then the house starts to crumble. It starts to crumble and stuff. So, but again, the reasons for anything happening in this movie are somewhere deep under the surface.
Sure.
And you're almost looking in on a story as opposed to being told one. Yeah. That's how I feel when I'm watching a couple of these movies, these Corman Poe adaptations, which makes them a little unique to their own, but they can also be a challenge if you're in a certain kind of mood.
Sure.
To watch a movie. If you want to watch the monster that challenged the world, don't watch House of Usher.
Yeah. No.
If you want to see the giant claw You know,
yeah.
Don't watch House of Usher, basically. So
no.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to say that Roger or not Roger Corman, sorry, Vincent Price.
Mm-hmm.
He was the original emo in this movie.
Oh God, yeah. Well, he basically picked up the baton from old Lon Chaney Jr.
Yeah. Oh my God, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it wasn't bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just like, oh, he really went for it. I mean, like, oh my gosh, which is okay because I'm like, I hate this guy. And I thought while I was watching, I'm like, this is one of his better performances to me because of how much I don't like him right now. You know what I mean? And I like everything he's ever done. And I like watching him. Even the damn Brady Bunch episode.
Right. Well, he is uncharacteristically subdued in this movie. And that's
what I mean. And but he's,
yes. And it kind of gives a kind of a creep factor and stuff. Because as I've said, he likes to chew the scenery so much. You see bite marks on the doors and stuff.
Yes.
I mean, it's not in this thing. He's really, he's pulling it back. But then what's I mean, and it's almost hilarious because I actually did laugh out loud a few times because he's doing this subtle, just heart-wrenching performance, and then he'll think he hears something. And then he goes all Vincent Price, like, and he's got his eyes open, and it's like, and he just like lets it pop out for a second, and then reels it back in. It's like, woo, there he was. There he was. There's my guy. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
There's my evil witch hunter guy. There he is. Yes. So,
there he is. Yeah. Very good though. Very good performance. Really.
Yeah, it is a good performance. Some interesting things here. Poor Myrna Fahey, who played Madeline Usher. She died actually 1 month after I was born. She at age 40. Of cancer, unfortunately. Yeah.
Oh man, that's a shame.
She's named after Myrna Loy. Actually, she dated Joe DiMaggio.
Whoa, really?
That. Yeah, and she was.
Joe DiMaggio was a lucky guy.
He sure was.
And not much of a looker, but boy, she played baseball.
Oh yeah. So she mostly had TV credits, including, and I'm gonna throw this out here to you. She was Blaze, who was False Face's, I think, girlfriend in Batman.
Oh yeah. Yeah, wow, okay. Yeah, I remember her now. Yep,
okay,
that's awesome.
So we got that.
False Face tripped me out in that because he wore that little clear mask.
Right, exactly.
Weird. Yeah.
Now, Mark Damon, who played Philip Winthrop, interesting guy. He was in Black Sabbath, which we have reviewed before. He was in The Devil's Wedding Night, Crypt of the Living Dead, and he was actually in The Longest Day. But here's something for you. He's a producer. I like doing this because it's sort of like the John Ashley thing, where you're like, This goody two shoes, good looking Harold Hansen pants guy, this lightweight actor guy becomes like these like big time producers, and I think it's kind of funny. Oh God, who was the kid stays in the picture guy? Robert Evans.
Okay.
So now Robert, he produced stuff like Marathon Man and things like that. Robert Evans was the young guy in Man of a Thousand Faces, a movie about Lon Chaney. We talked about Robert Evans before. So Mark Damon is like a kind of like that Robert Evans guy where he was like an okay Harold Hansen pants actor. But man, he somehow had a knack for producing. This guy, check out these movies this guy produced, all right? So he produced, let's see, things like Fear.com, kind of an okay movie. He produced I Come in Peace, which we reviewed. Yes. He produced a Never Ending Story.
Oh,
he produced Clan of the Cave Bear. He produced 9.5 Weeks. I wish I would have produced that.
Yeah,
I produced 9.5 weeks too, but it looked totally different. And it was about 7.5 minutes. He produced Lone Survivor, which just came out in the last, 7 or 8 years. Mark. Yes, the 2003 movie Monster, which won Academy Awards. Yes.
Oh, wow. He's really
he also he produced Das Boot, Short Circuit.
What?
He produced The Lost Boys. Wow. Ben Harley. Mark Damon produced Mac and Me.
Well, we'll forgive him for that one. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so good times to him. Old Harry Ellerby is Bristol. You've seen him pop up in movies. He was he was in like Chamber of Horrors. We reviewed that. Haunted Palace, The Magnetic Monster. We reviewed that one. That silly piece of tripe too a couple times. Shot in 15 days, baby. That's quick. Wow. There's a lot of dialogue and a lot of costume nonsense going on.
Roger Corman don't mess around, does he?
He had a whip on him. He was wearing those jockey pants, I think, and stuff. He was beating on people with his jockey whip, whatever that is. Yeah, his stick thing. I don't know what to call him. So his hurdy stick. He was hitting him with. Yeah. So So really, the movie as a horror film does not really hold up very much. As a gothic melodrama, it holds up pretty good. I think what's interesting about it is what it is. It's the beginning of a lot of things. It's the beginning of Roger Corman stepping up and making these really successful, very frugal, but gorgeous at the same time, gorgeous films. And it's the start of him and Price doing this stuff together. It's almost like you can't take a film like this and poop on it. You can't say it's too important. It's too important. Right. And as much as it might be a little stagey these days, lacking some chills, it is, however, thick on the atmosphere.
Yes.
Oozes with it. And I appreciate the eerie atmosphere of it. And when Madeline Usher, when she goes Fabulous Moolah, the way they have her looking, she goes from Wendy Richter to Fabulous Moolah. I'm telling you, it's like
really fast.
Really fast. I think I would rather go to my prom with Moolah than how they have her looking there at the end when she's beating up the whole house. I think she's the one that knocks the house down. I think she gets pissed off and starts kicking the walls, and it's going, I'm surprised she didn't tear like one of Bristol's ears off or something. She was doing, so but that is kind of a funny thing, though. I mean, she's just tossing them like ragtop.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Hell hath no fury, Mr. Ben Harley. Hell hath no fury. But it was interesting and fun to go back to. I haven't seen this for a little while, but Angio and I do pull out these movies every now and then because she tends to she's a fan of House of the Seven Gables, and she's a fan of these types of films. I mean, it's like the old Dark House. It's like Dragon Wick, even Jane Eyre. And I know that sounds strange, but I remember when I saw Jane Eyre the first time, I saw a lot of Usher in it. I think I like the movie more than I even enjoy it. And I appreciate watching it even more than I do. I'm going to give it a good, solid, great bape up. I'm not going to tickle rafters or anything. But it is what it is. Yeah. And I'm proud of it. I think it's a great film. And I think for what it is, it's a great film. And it's an important film. I don't think we would be sitting here right now, Harley, doing this show, which maybe that's not the best, but we wouldn't be sitting here right now annoying the masses. I don't think if this movie wasn't made.
Yeah. Poor Vincent Price. Oh, buddy,
I'm a St. Louis guy too. So is he.
We're sorry.
You can tell by both of our accents that we came from the same town, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Around the same area. Yeah.
Exactly. So, what do you think, Harley?
Tim, I enjoyed this movie, and it's funny because I did try to watch this not too long ago, and I wasn't able to get too far into it.
Sure, I can see that
stuff here at work. Well, mostly because here at work, and it's like this one. And I'm glad I watched by myself, and enjoyed it, and a little bit more.
You have to focus on it. You can't have things going. I try to do that a little bit too, and you can't do it. Yeah. You got to sit down.
This is just one of those. This is because it's so thick with words, Tim. You know how words affect me. Oh, God.
Those damn things they have in the credits.
Oh, gee. Yeah, what about those, too? Then first they want me to read, and then I got to, oh, my. So, yeah. But no, in a movie like this, it's a little wordy. So, yeah, I do have to pay attention a little bit more. But, and there's not a lot of action sequences, Tim.
No, there's not. It's all plot. It's all character-driven melodrama, really. Gothic melodrama. It's exactly what it is. And
but I'm going to give it for sure a great bape up, though, Tim. I have, and I enjoyed it.
It's kind of amazing. you almost think about, did people go and see this and scare themselves before they like an Amityville Horror type of movie?
Sure.
When we were kids, that movie was known as a terrifying film. Terrifying film. And you watch it, you're like, it's not even mildly scary. Like, it's kind of nothing there. Like this movie. Like, it's probably more of what you're expecting than what actually happens.
Exactly.
And that is the triumph and the folly of film sometimes. That when you go in all revved up for something, I think, when Blair Witch Project came out, I think people went in revved up like they were already scared. The Exorcist.
I was too. Like,
yeah,
I fell for that though.
Well, and then The Exorcist. Yeah, I think it depends on what scares you and what you think is going to happen and stuff. So, but this does kind of remind me of that, where I think people went into this movie already scared, and they saw it, and they were scared for the characters the whole time and everything. So, but interesting film, Mr. Ben-Hur, an important film, a historical film as far as it is historical, but it's also as far as Hollywood history, a big important film. Big important film, Everybody talks about Roger Corman, Vincent Price, the Edgar Allan Poe movies and stuff. Well, here's where it started. Here's where it all started. So interesting.
Roger.
Yes, yeah. And we get Madeline Usher beating the crap out of him.
Go fabulous movie on us.
Yeah. So. And talk about an intergender match, a handicap match, and she mops up the floor with them basically. So I was having a kick watching that. I was like, get him. So all right, all right, all you deep thinkers out there, thanks for listening. And once again, as always, we will be back here next week discussing what I don't know yet, but we will be here and we'll be discussing just that. Until next week, be good to each other, be safe, and stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.